Hello, welcome to episode 4 of the Heaven Word podcast. My name is Samantha. I am a psychic medium and healer. And on this episode, we are going to be talking about life purpose. This is such a huge theme that I feel a lot of us that are especially on what we consider the spiritual journey, seeking higher and wanting to know what we're ultimately here for, we tend to seek just as much as a partnership for love. These are the top items that I have clients coming to me for sessions and readings is life purpose and love. So I felt really called to dive into this because it is just so important what I've personally learned about my own life purposes that is really essential to have obtained this knowledge for myself. It has changed the way that I live my life. It has changed the way I look at myself and how I've learned what's actually important. So that's why I wanted to dive into this today, because for whoever it is that is meant to take something from this, that's why I felt called to do this. So we're going to start. Basically, I want to talk about my own personal journey with this. Ever since my spiritual awakening that I discussed a little bit in the first episode of the Heaven Word podcast, my first spiritual awakening, I was awakened to God and to there being so much more to life than I was aware of. I previously had no sense of meaning or purpose for my life. I felt my life was meaningless and purposeless. I felt I was meaningless and purposeless. And does that mean I really was? Maybe I was acting that way. Maybe I was acting out in ways that were not purposeful for the higher good, but purposeful to a certain part of myself at the time, even though it was damaging to myself. So I was creating purpose and meaning in being a partier, being someone who self-harmed and very reckless with my life and not caring with my life and very angry. Like I was serving something within me with that behavior. So that was my purpose for a bit, was to live out this reckless, careless part of myself, this I don't give a fuck part of myself at that time. Now, when I had my spiritual awakening at the age of 18, I felt once again like I was seeing through new eyes, right? All of a sudden, I'm like, whoa, like there is something, a calling over my life. There is a calling for me. There is something I'm meant to do here. Like I know it now because I know God now. And I know that that's what God wants for all of his people. So then I started, alongside wanting this dream relationship and marriage and all that, as we all have gone through those, moments, I'm sure. Along with that, I was desperately wanting to know what my career was supposed to be, because I tied my life purpose to my career. What am I doing as a job? What is this that will be so fulfilling for me? This job will give me so much fulfillment and will make me feel like I am good. I am living my purpose. This relationship and marriage will fulfill me and give me everything I've never had. And all this outside stuff is going to be what does it for me. Now, all this stuff is wonderful. It's beautiful. and it's all that we are deserving of, and it does bring joy. But it also comes with its own challenges. And we can all agree, any career, any job will come with its own challenges, even if you love it, even if you love parts of it, even if you've worked so hard for it. There will be parts that you hate or that you dislike. Same with the relationship, even with the right person for you. There will be challenges. There will be times you are not getting along. There will be things you have to work through. It is not this perfect scenario. There is not this direct answer to things, as much as we want that, because we are so just human. We have been trained to think very black and white. We've been trained to think that everything has an answer so that we can disguise the fear of the unknown, right? So anywho, so I ventured along this path until I was about, I'd say 28. I was on this path of just feeling super unfulfilled with my career, which I was bartending for most of my 20s. And I was so unfulfilled, but I still had no idea what I wanted to do. I knew what I was good at. I knew I was good with helping people. Like, I loved helping people, and I loved being of service to people in, ways of being kind of like a therapist to people and that type of figure. I knew that, but for some reason I was just very turned off from school. And, so I was seeking for purpose in the wrong places. I was seeking for purpose in relationships and with people. And eventually I fell upon my now ex-wife, who I feel I saw a drive and a passion in her. At least I thought that's what it was at first. That really drew me to her, because I felt like I saw my purpose in her aura and her energy. Her energy made me feel like I would be going somewhere. It's really hard to describe. But come to find out, the energy I was feeling was my own. It was my own energy being exposed to me. And the fact that I had all this within me that I thought she had and I didn't. And she made sure of making me feel like I was beneath her. So she turned out to be not who I expected her to be, and being somebody who was very narcissistic. And, I married this person. I thought my plans finally went through. Everything finally worked out for me. I was doing readings. I was, building my clientele with that. And, I thought I was on my way, despite being completely broke because she didn't allow me to bartend, which is the only work experience I really had, due to her own insecurities. So I was forced to make it work with building clientele, but it became more of a job than what it was before I met her, which was my passion. Spirituality was my passion, and teaching people about spirituality and what I've learned, and helping people through my spiritual gifts was my passion. I felt when I started coming into my gifts, I really felt like I had discovered my purpose in that moment. I felt like this was it. I was going to be a professional medium. I was going to finally help people the way I always thought I would help people. But in that therapeutic type of way. But it didn't end up panning out how I expected, because it was taking a lot longer than I intended. I was in this marriage that was very restricting, that was very controlling, and I was with somebody who was consistently on the run from themselves. And I was being put in the role of her live-in therapist pretty much because of her constant meltdowns. Now, this is important to this message because, you know, when you marry somebody, even if it's in a short span of time, it's like, at least for me, I truly like gave my all to the situation, and I thought I had it all figured out. I thought that, you know, this was it. I was willing to go through thick and thin with this person. So when she unexpectedly broke up with me and filed for divorce, with literally no warning, I felt everything kind of crumble around me. Everything I thought I knew, I no longer knew. Everything that I had planned for, we were supposed to move to Florida together. But she sent me to Florida before filing for divorce, but acting like everything was fine. And before I had moved, she had also tried to take my car from me and trade in my car for the car she wanted, because she didn't have a car. She was using my car. And so like all these things I overlooked near the end. It's like, I was like, whoa, I truly overlooked all of these red flags and all of these things that this person just tried to do. And like, I didn't even really see it. Like, I couldn't even see it. And so a relationship I thought was going to be so purposeful and so meaningful and something that was going to elevate the both of us, spiritually and just purpose-wise, really actually was a roadblock to my purpose. I wasn't able to be my full self. I wasn't able to be who I truly am and expand on that in that relationship. So, you know, what happened was meant to happen. But it wasn't until my world came crumbling down and the vision I had always dreamed of like finally having like a healthy marriage and my companion in life, like my life partner, it wasn't until all that came crumbling down in my face and I was just totally blindsided and finally came to the realization of like, I truly know absolutely nothing. I can not know that something is going to occur. Like, you know, it's just like, I don't know anything about what can happen. I can only focus on what's right in front of me. That's when I realized that I was putting my purpose in others. I was putting my purpose in constructs and like boxes. I put my purpose in marriage and being a wife and in being a best friend and in being all these things to other people that I completely forgot about what it really means to have purpose. Because even in those relationships and friendships, it's like, even in my practice, I even lost passion there. And I was like, none of this matters. I was like, none of this matters. The purpose and the meaning of that I'm seeking is all within me. It's all within discovering more about myself and creating a purposeful and meaningful life, going in with pure intentions and having the intentions of creating meaning and purpose wherever I go, whatever my circumstances are, whatever I'm surrounded by. I can still create meaning and purpose in that space, and by being myself and by tapping into my gifts and tapping into what I have to offer. And if there's ever a space that I'm not able to do that, I don't belong there. So I realized all of that and suddenly was just faced with like, what is the purpose of my life? I was met with, after the breakup, just like I didn't understand what my purpose was anymore. I had no recollection of like what I truly want anymore. I felt like I had lost a part of myself, but I had shedded a part of myself that was again, seeking meaning in relationships, seeking my purpose in relationships, when I don't need a relationship to live in my purpose. And from that point on is when I again started diving into my spiritual connection even deeper than ever. I truly let go of that like codependent behavior of needing a relationship to fulfill me. I started seeking ways to fulfill myself. But we all have roles to play based on the circumstances and relationships and dynamics in our lives. And I realized we have many purposes doing many different things and being many different yous, like being different versions of yourself. And I also recognize that we all play a part in other people's stories. And the thing about it is we were different characters to all these people. Every person could say similar qualities they notice in you, but the view and the perspective of you is going to be different from every single person. If you were to walk in all their shoes and see you from all their eyes, you would look different to all of them because you played different roles for all of them. But our career and roles and relationships are all just opportunities to express our purpose by creating it, by creating purpose and being intentional and bringing our gifts and strengths to the table. And in order to add value to the job space and to add value to the relationships we become a part of and that people we cross paths with, even if they're quick interactions. The relationships we have with people are also for us to grow, which is beyond purposeful. That is very purposeful. Those who choose not to grow and reflect will always be in search of purpose and the next thing to fulfill them, rather than finding beauty and purpose in the current moment where true purpose is already alive. And, I'm not here to bash anybody, but I just learned in my marriage that the person I was with, she was always seeking something outside of herself. She was not somebody that reflected. She was not somebody that took accountability for her role in her life, and the part she played in others' lives and the hurtful role she played. And, it's just, I realized in that experience for myself that the type of what I was being, basically because I fell upon her and I engaged with her, married her because of my desperation for purpose that I wasn't feeling within myself. I wasn't recognizing the purpose I already had within myself, so I was seeking it in a relationship. And I fell upon somebody who restricted me, who binded me, who kept me stuck because of her own demons. And it just showed me what it looks like. She was very upfront about going from thing to thing and not being able to sit with herself because she was just so full of shame. And I was after that experience and I was able to look back at it, I was despite how much I felt used and hurt by her, I could see the parts of her that I also have. And those parts being the constant chase for something outside of myself to fulfill me. And I recognize that it got me to a really bad place and with somebody who is truly a dangerous person. And I'm lucky it only lasted 1.5 years because the type of person I was with could have done a lot of damage, I feel, if it would have went further. So it just goes to show that reaching and chasing for everything outside of us, for purpose outside of us, and for meaning outside of us just gets us in trouble. The only view of you that actually matters, which I wrote all this stuff down already, so if it sounds like I'm reading, that's why. But these are important points I wanted to touch on. The only view of you that actually matters is the view you have of yourself. No matter what you've been through, no matter what you've done in your life and the shame you carry because of it, God is a forgiving God. You are forgiven before you even choose a certain direction or make a decision. God knew way before the opportunity even occurred. There is even purpose in making wrong decisions. Only if we allow ourselves to be open to that higher perspective, which is accessed through forgiving ourselves, letting the shit go. You are the only one who can make the conscious choice in every moment to forgive yourself and others. God has already forgiven your shame, is ready to take the baggage from your shoulders. Your purpose is to simply become more of who you truly are. I felt somebody needed the forgiveness aspect in this, because that's also a part of your purpose, is to forgive yourself over and over and over and over again. Over and over and over again. Forgive yourself and others over and over and over again, because it's indeed a practice. My intention with this episode is to hopefully remind you that whatever you're seeking or running toward in your life that you feel will give you so much purpose and so much wealth, so much happiness and joy, it'll help. But it starts with you. It starts with the work and the reflection on yourself. It starts with the gratitude within yourself for the present moment and taking that with you wherever you go. So that when you do get that dream job, or you're able to remember that gratitude and where you came from in order to get that opportunity when the challenges arise in that dream position. Or when you finally get your life partner that you've prayed, that you've been through so many freaking frogs to get to. You finally get this person, but you didn't realize there'd be challenges with the right person. So what you went through up until that point, you're able to look back and remember with gratitude that, and see clearly of like the situation you're currently in rather than the old ones. You're able to see the difference and be able to handle the difficulties without running, because you know purpose. You're able to create purpose and fulfillment wherever you go and in anything you're in, because you know, because you've recognized that it starts with you, it ends with you. Thank you for listening to episode 4. I hope that this assisted you in the way it was meant to. There was definitely a lot of messages that came through here. I feel this was more meant to just be, I was meant to just be kind of like a channel and a vessel here for whoever needed it and felt called to this episode. So please let me know how this affected you and what you take from this episode and these messages. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you guys on the next episode. Bye.